Do you remember Holly's warning to Tommy earlier this season? The finale heavily leans into that, and what it reveals to us about Tommy's future is... What's up, everybody? Just B here, and I'm breaking down the season finale of season 2 of Power Book 4 Force, aka The Tommy Show, titled Power, Powder, Respect, aptly named after the theme song. We're diving right into the meatiest parts of this juicy finale right now. Let's go. Overall, this was a huge episode, as you guys know, that when Power now is crafting these season finales, everything they basically do within the entire scope of the show within that season is just leading towards these moments. There used to be a point in time where Power was not about the season finales. It was more about the individual episodes, but hey, this is where we're at. But I still thoroughly enjoyed this season and so much of the hard work that the cast and crew, the writers, directors, the new showrunner, like that they've put into it. I mean, it is so on display. It is so evident. And it is some awesome work. Kudos to everyone over there who was a part of the show and made it just such a joy for the fans to be able to go ahead and dive into this world and really get back to the roots of Power that we love. I mean, that's my whole thing. And that's why I love making these videos, is because this was a return to what we knew about Power. Let's talk about the rise and fall of one Claudia Flynn. So earlier in this season, when Walter was killed by Claudia, I would have mentioned in my videos before that I didn't think that they were done with the Flynn family this season. I was not hopping on the bandwagon that everyone else had because Vic was the CI and everyone was like, oh, Vic's gonna get killed. Remember, my last few videos, I kept stressing the fact that, listen, it's too much of a red herring for them to allow Vic to be the one to get killed, because they already revealed to us, the audience, that he's the CI. It's too obvious. And lo and behold, what do? They go ahead and they pull the ace in their hat and they go ahead and kill off Claudia Flynn. Now, a lot of people probably weren't expecting that, but the seeds that they were planting all season long that I picked up on, which is why I would have called that out as well, was the fact that Claudia was far removed from the rest of the cast, the core cast, for most of the season. Now, that's a very different thing than how it was in season 1 for her, right? She was very much a part of the core ensemble cast of characters. Now, when you saw she was almost on her own territory, in her own space, in her own world, and the only connection she really had to the rest of the show was either through Vic, and then that got severed, and then it was through Shanti. So if you think about that, they had purposely been kind of weaving her out, and that was sort of the first indicator. But the dialogue between her and Vic, and then her and her friend within this episode, when Claudia started talking about how she understood that her father was really trying to protect her and he was the only one that really looked out for her, even though he didn't do what she wanted or provide what she wanted, he provided what she needed. And she didn't realize this until the end, when she finally got everything that she wanted, kinda. And I remember there was another commenter on a couple of my videos before we were having this discussion about it in the comments. And so Jason Harris was saying that these writers gotta understand, if they want us to take these strong women characters seriously, then give them struggles that last, so that when they overcome them, it feels powerful. Claudia gets a challenge and overcame it in a few seconds. Conflict is what truly makes a character interesting, and how they overcome it. I hated Jannard, but the conflict he's going through is carrying the show and making him worth the emotional investment. Angela Valdez from the original Power, was written beautifully, right? We can all agree that. I love how Kate is written this season, giving her multiple layers and giving her an arc. And so Jason made a very, very good point about Claudia's arc, and that's probably why it was so, mid. It was because they were writing her out of the show all along, and now it's just the only Flynn character left on the show is Vic, like I called it would have been. And so it's sad to see her go, not so much, because she kind of had that coming. The getting revenge for Liliana's death was one storyline that we thought got dropped, but they always had it inside their back pocket that they were going to still make sure that by the end of the season, Tommy got payback for that. He surely did. So I never forgot that. I always kept that in the back of my mind as well. But Claudia overall as a character, I mean, she was vicious. You know, she was very intriguing, very interesting. But at the end of the day, her motivations, they didn't really add much depth for us to, like he said, keep on wanting to see her win. If her whole thing was just based off of Walter was bad and never gave me anything, and that's her whole story. I mean, I'm sorry. Now, Vic has multiple layers to him, right? I think that's why the writers kept him around. Is because there's more to Vic than meets the eye. And there's more to his story that we can have more of an investment in. So now it makes me wonder, if Vic is the last Flynn living, what does that mean moving forward for the Flynn family? Are we going to see, you know, any more extended family introduced in the next season? Is there going to be a brother of Walter who was being sent by the heads in Dublin or something like that to run the organization? I don't know. You guys, let me know what you think inside the comments, if you think there's any expansion coming to the Flynn family, or what you think might be in store for Vic and, you know, his side of the organization. A very big plot point that a lot of people were commenting on, not just on my videos, but also on Twitter, was this whole thing between Tommy, Diamond, and D-Mac. So it wasn't until I really started to read through them that I understood that, wow, there really is a connection here. At the end of episode 9, when they name dropped that King Kilo's nephew was the one that took out Leon, and that it was hard to be able to get to him without messing up the coalition, it didn't right away click with me that, hey, this is the reason why they reintroduced D-Mac in this particular episode. So sending him away was the right thing to do. But him deciding to come back and Diamond being the first one to interact with him, that's why in that quick scene where we saw that when D-Mac and Diamond were having a conversation, and he told him that, hey, man, listen, I slid on Buddy for you because CBI is in my blood, man. I want to take care of that for you so I don't come back on you. And that quick moment where Diamond reflexes to go ahead and pull out his gun, and D-Mac, he kind of jumps back. Hold on real quickly. You guys want to see something crazy? Over 99% of you guys that watch my content are not subscribed. So I'm asking real quickly, if you don't mind, just hit the like button and hit subscribe real quickly. I'd love to keep on giving this content to you guys, and lets me know that people actually are interested. Feel free to do that, man. Really appreciate it a lot. Would help me out a long way in growing my small channel. Thanks. Now back to the video. That was very intentional, right? For us to be able to see that, to understand and give us clues into the dynamic of what's going to happen in season 3, which is what a lot of you have been calling out. I think that what's going to happen is D-Mac is going to be the breaking point in this whole war that I've been saying is going to happen between Tommy and Diamond, which we saw the biggest seed of that planted in this episode. Near the ending part of the episode, after all things started to get wrapped up, and we saw now that Tommy and Diamond were now starting to have it out at the bar, because Tommy did not let him know that he still was holding on to Vic and didn't take him out. That was a big thing for Diamond, because it's like, at the end of this, it's like, we can make all these strategies, we can have all these plans, but you still don't include me in everything. Do we remember the reason in which Diamond decided to take out his parole officer? It's because the parole officer saw and found out that Diamond was still in the game. So anyone who Diamond sees as a threat towards him going back to prison, he's got to get rid of. So the more that Diamond feels that he's out of the loop, anything could happen at any point in time, right? Especially if you are keeping things away from me. And then this exchange between him and Tommy, where Tommy's basically saying, well, if it wasn't for me, I mean, we wouldn't be a connect right now. I made the biggest play in CBI history. And then Diamond had to remind him, like, no, we did that. You need to stop using this I language. This is what I was talking about, guys. Whole season long, they're setting up this whole thing where these guys are going to go to bat over it. But D-Mac's going to be the tipping point. And I think that Tommy is going to have to step in to save D-Mac from Diamond. And that is where it all will fall apart. The reason why, and I love how we ended the season on the cliffhanger, but the reason why it played out this way was because they're going to use that as a bigger plot point in season 3. As far as I'm concerned. And I'm glad that we can see that play out in the next season and not necessarily this season, because it gives more time for CBI to be built out. It gives more time for the stakes to be higher for there to be more territories to be taken over, for us to see Tommy and Diamond in power a little bit more longer before we see the inevitable falling out that's going to happen. Diamond drawing a line in the sand saying, if it wasn't for me backing you up, you'd be dead. So these are all things that, again, I called it, and they're playing out right here before our eyes. Tommy's trying to be a little more smarter in the way how Ghost was. I think in a lot of ways he learned from Ghost's mistakes and also the things that Ghost got right. And I think him trying to stay one step ahead of even those closest to him is something that he learned from Ghost. And that's not something he's going to change because, that's what, as far as he knows, works. Now, except in his personal life. See, he wasn't one step ahead when it came down to knowing that D-Mac was back in town. He didn't know that his family was now coming and turning against him. And like I also predicted that his family would inevitably, he wouldn't have them anymore by the end of the season because of the decisions that he was making and putting everyone in danger. D-Mac wilding out and, just straight up disrespected his dad, man. But we also got to keep in mind, him and JP don't really have a relationship like long term for him not to feel that kind of way about him. So at the end of the day, JP's got to realize that you have to actually build a relationship with your son for him to respect you. You have to actually do something for him to respect. And that includes, bro, standing up to Tommy for me and not me having to be out here and handle business myself so I can get in good again with CBI. Like, come on. Do you guys remember the warning that Holly gave him earlier this season about how he cannot live on both sides? He cannot be in both worlds. He can't have both of these things at the same time. That was where this came full circle with what happened to Mayera. Now, I know some people were saying that, I think Miguel's going to kill Mayera. No, I think Mayera is going to be Tommy's endgame because at some point in the character's journey, they have to, after so much loss, there has to now be a win. So I think this is probably going to be Tommy's forever love, probably going to be the mother of his kids one day. And they're building up that love story right now. But he's now going to have to overcome the fact that Miguel knows Miguel's taken Mayera captive. But the biggest thing was that after all of these wins, after all of Tommy staying one step ahead of everyone, just like how Ghost taught him, the one area in which he failed to do so was the area within his personal life. More specifically, his love life. He dropped the ball there thinking that he wouldn't have gotten caught, and he surely did. And there's nothing that he can do to be able to find Mayera right now, unless he wants to ruin the whole agreement that was set up by Che between he and Miguel. So this is where it all comes through. How is Tommy going to be able to find her without going to war with Miguel? And that's where he got very, very, very upset. I think this is the most angry we've ever seen Tommy in the entire show. The last time we saw a character this angry was when Ghost was holding Angela's body after Tommy had just killed her at the ending part of OG Power Season 5. And I remember there was somebody who posted online, they were like, there's got to be something about the Latinas, man, because the way how these fellas be screaming over these girls. I think that Tommy and Mayera are going to find their way back to each other, and I think that's going to be his endgame. But overall, amazing season, guys. I loved not every minute, most of the moments of it, and I look forward to what they're going to put out for season 3. Now, as something you guys should know, because I talked a little bit about this in my last video about some things that was happening at Stars, expect now there probably won't be season 3 of Force until 2025. Season 1 of Force premiered, I believe it was January or February of 2022. Don't expect to see it until around January or February 2025. The scripts probably were done by the time the writers went on strike, or at least halfway done, but there hasn't been any green light of season 3 yet. Season 3 of Force has not been approved as yet, but obviously we know they'll get it. And then they have to go into production and shooting, and that takes long. We probably wouldn't see it until early to mid 2025 at best, guys. That's just what it is. So we have to hold out for a while before we see that. But a couple of you have been asking if I'm gonna do Raising Kanan season 3. I do love that show, and so I am also going to be doing breakdowns on Raising Kanan as well. I'm going to go into my period of binge watching it again and getting caught up, and then going back when episodes come out and breaking it down. But let me know what you guys thought about this season and thought about this episode. Do you guys actually thought I got these things right? Do you guys think I actually got these things wrong? More than I got them right? Let me know your thoughts inside the comments about everything, guys, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Until next time, peace.